Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything Football. The Champions League is back. That means UCL Fantasy is back as well. New season. This season is a bit different as well because my team is actually back in the Champions League. I cannot wait to watch the team playing in the Champions League, but obviously I'm not going to be biased in terms of picking the teams and all that information. Definitely not going to be biased. But in my team, I probably will have like three Arsenal players. But hey, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the rest of the Champions League. In this one, we'll be taking a look at the prizes. So there will be a lot of content now, like almost every single day, talk about fixtures, drafts, and all that. But this one, we're going to take a look at the prizes so far. There has been a couple of changes, a couple of players rising in prices, other players going down. Some players have changed position as well. Players have left the the Champions League, man. Players like Benzema, who are must-haves 2 seasons ago, they're no longer there. Obviously, Ronaldo, Messi left last season as well. We had that like that problem of whether we're going to choose Mbappe, Messi, or Neymar from PSG. Two of them are now gone. Mbappe is the only one remaining. Mr. Champions League at Man City, Mahrez usually helped us a lot in the Champions League. He's no longer there anymore. So things have changed. We have a couple of new teams like Lens, Arsenal, Newcastle, new teams. We have the usual suspects, Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Who's going to win it this time around? Let me know. But before I get started, make sure to join the league. The code is on screen and scrolling down the bottom as well. That's 127MNI6R01. So that is the code. The link will also be in the description. So make sure to join the league. In case you had already joined the league last in the previous seasons, I think there's a place where you can just click on rejoin when you're making your team on the website. So let's take a look at the player prizes. Let's start with the main teams. Let's start with the main teams. Let's go with Man City. Let's go with Manchester City. I mean, they won it last season, so it's fair enough to start with them. Erling Haaland is going to cost you 11.5 million. I think that is a price increase. If I'm not wrong, he was like 10.5 million last season. He was incredible, man. Like, he scored like over 50 goals in all competitions, broke the record in terms of Premier League goals, Champions League you're scoring. He got hat tricks as well. As you can see, he's already selected by 67%, and I think that number will probably go up to like 75%. So Haaland is a tough one. Like, if you don't have Erling Haaland, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Also, considering the kind of group he has in fixtures, yes, he might not start all 6 games. He might start 4 or 5, but if he does start like at least 5 of those, like, he could easily get like 30 goals in that group. Like, that's how crazy Haaland is. So I think that is a good price to pay for him. I mean, in the Premier League, in the FPL, his prices are way higher than that. So I think 11.5 is fair enough. De Bruyne is currently injured, but he's going to cost you 10.5 million, but he's going to miss he's actually going to miss a lot of the Champions League group stage. So I think for now, De Bruyne, you're not going to really consider him. And the thing we're not considering De Bruyne is the fact that you're not considering him. His price is 10.5 million. So that allows us to be more flexible in getting other players in. Or maybe there's a player you've always wanted from Bayern Munich, or you've always wanted like to have 2 players from Real Madrid, like those forward players. Now you're allowed to, because De Bruyne is not there. Or maybe you can have some of his teammates as well. Let's take a look at his teammates. A teammate like Bernardo Silva, 8.5 million. The problem with Bernardo Silva doesn't always start. I mean, to be fair, this Man City, not everyone always starts. I guess it's the only safe person is the goalkeeper, and maybe Haaland, and even Haaland, I don't expect him to start all 6 games because their group is pretty easy. Grealish, 8 million. I think that's a fair price for him. Phil Foden will cost you 8 million as well if he plays in that number 10 role where De Bruyne has he's supposed to play. I think Foden could be absolutely class this season. Alvarez, as a forward, 7 million. I think he's going to start a few games. I think that is a very cheap way to get into the Man City team. If there's a couple of weeks where we get to see Man City's team needs before the deadline, like an Alvarez starts, I think is a very good player to have there. 7 million, that is a very cheap price. Doku is a new player, 7 million. Still need to see more. Rodri, 6.5 million. He always gets the opportunities to score and make tackles in midfield and everything like that. Ederson is 6 million. He's currently selected by 20%, so I'm expecting a few people to have him as well. He's a goalkeeper who can get an assist or 2 and still just dominate that group, and I think they could easily keep like 4 or 5 clean sheets easily. Cancelo's left. Kovacic, 6 million. have to wait and see. If you're choosing a midfielder, I'd probably go for Rodri. Like those cheap midfielders from Man City, probably go for Rodri. Ruben Diaz is 5.5 million, Stones 5.5 million, Vardiel as well, Walker all 5.5 million. The Man City defense is very hard to predict. I would imagine Vardiel starts a lot of the Champions League games. Nathan Ake would be a cheap way to Man City's team, 4.5 million. Next up, let's go to Real Madrid. What are the prices for Real Madrid players? Now, before I even go to the prizes, one player has changed position, Vinicius Jr. Now, he's usually a midfielder in the game, but now he's been moved to a forward. And I think that's bad for our teams because usually have like three big strikers, and then you also have like two big midfielders like Vinicius Jr. and Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah is no longer there. He's not there this time around. That's another player I forgot to mention at the beginning. Another player who is not there in the Champions League. This is a main stay in all of our teams. So Vinicius is now a striker, and how much is he going to cost as a striker? 11 million. So that's quite a lot of money to pay. But I think he's currently injured. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. We still have 2 weeks of the international break, so let's see what develops between now and then. Rodri is a forward as well, 9 million. So both are forwards, but both are midfielders last season, so that's a killer. Valverde 7.5 million. Bellingham is also 7.5 million. New Real Madrid playing is already smashing it there. The likes of Modric and Kroos around 6.5 million, 7 million. Courtois is injured this season, unfortunately. Another player who's usually in a lot of teams, and he was the goalkeeper of the season 2 seasons ago, goalkeeper of Champions League season. Camavinga is 6 million. He's not a guaranteed starter. That's the problem. Carvajal 5.5. Very good price for him. It does attack a lot. Alaba has been starting games this season as well. 5.5. Militao same. Rudiger same. So yeah, Kepa is now the goalkeeper. Is going to cost you 5 million. If Lonin starts, it's going to cost you 4.5 million. So I think the Real Madrid goalkeepers are a well priced, because usually if you want a Real Madrid goalkeeper in Courtois, you have to pay 6 million. So this time around, we have cheaper prices, like cheaper goalkeepers from Real Madrid, which is pretty good for us. Next up, let's take a look at which team next. Let's just take a look at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, I think they're part of the favorites as well to win this competition. We'll take a look at every single team. We'll take a look at the main teams and then a few key prizes. And then obviously, if you take a look at every team, we'd be here for 3 hours. Harry Kane is 10 million. He is a forward, obviously. Better team than Tottenham. Bayern Munich, they have a tough first, if you can call it tough, because they're playing Man United in the first game, and Man United have a terrible away record. So I'd not be surprised if Bayern Munich scored 3 or 4 goals in that game. Harry Kane on penalties as well, always a good option. Son is 9 million. 2 seasons ago, he was one of the highest scoring players in the Champions League fantasy. Gnabry 9 million. Doesn't always start. Same with Muller. Musiala 8.5. Kimmich 6.5 million. I do like Alphonso Davies this season. He is 6 million, quite expensive, but he's been balling. Let's be honest, he has been balling a lot for Bayern Munich this season. So I think he's gotten a couple of assists and I think a goal or something. He has been great. He has been great as well. The likes of Tell as well. I think I saw him scoring the other day, but he's a bench player. But yeah, Bayern Munich, if you want the big boys, 9 million, 10 million is not bad, because the likes of Haaland are like 11 million, and the likes of Mbappe are more expensive as well. Now let's take a look at the big players, like all the big players. Speaking of Mbappe, 11.5 million. Vinicius, 11 million. De Bruyne, we've gone through that. Lewandowski, 10.5 million. We also have to take a look at the groups. I think Lewandowski's group is pretty good and pretty favorable, 10.5 million. It's very difficult to, like, I'm sure people would want Vinicius, Lewandowski, Haaland, or Vinicius, Haaland and Griezmann or something like that. All these strikers are pretty expensive. So if you have those like 3 big strikers and then 3-4 expensive midfielders, Man City, Bayern Munich, your defense is going to have to be very cheap. So you have to find a way to balance it out. I guess 2 big name strikers could be enough, and then you have to look for a cheaper striker, or you sacrifice and go for those 3 strikers, and then in midfield, maybe 2 big names, and then you mix it up. Now you'll have to take a look at the cheaper midfield like Rodri, or maybe take a look at Lens, FC Port, and all those teams if you can get cheaper midfielders. Remember, in the Champions League is different from FPL. Defensive midfielders can also get you points in terms of tackles and all that, so that's why it's different. Rashford is 10 million. Leao 9.5 million. Kvaratskhelia 9.5 million. Last season he started at like 5 million or something, and Kvaratskhelia last season, he allowed us to have like all the big names now. Like you could have Mbappe, you could have Salah, you could have Sane, and you still have money because Kvaratskhelia was like 5 million and he was actually performing more than all those other players. But this season, we are going to have to look for another gem. Again, we're going to have videos on that as I do my research throughout this week and next week as well. Who else? Which other big name player should I go through? Saka is 9.5 million as well. Bruno 9.5 million. Lautaro Martinez 9 million. Inter Milan, I think Inter Milan's group is good as well. PSG's new striker Ramos from Benfica last season, he was incredible with Rafa Silva. So all those prices very, very good. Icardi at Galatasaray 9 million. Rafinha is a forward this season, so that is another dagger, just like Vinicius and Rodrigo. 8.5 million forward. I don't like that really. Luke De Jong is 8.5 million. I think that Arsenal group is fair. Arsenal, PSV, Sevilla, and Lons. Like it's hard to predict which team is going to finish first, second. Hopefully, it's Arsenal finishing first, but it's hard to predict. El Nesri actually like him. At Sevilla, usually scores. He misses a couple of chances, but whenever the ball comes in the air, he always scores. Just like De Jong as well. Same thing. 8.5 million for both of them. Jesus Martinelli 8.5. Giroud is 8 million. Taremi 8 million this season. Coleman 8 million. Okafor at Milan 8 million. Dembele, PSG, 8 million as well. There's the likes of Di Maria and also Rafa Silva at Benfica. We'll do more research on that one. But let's take a couple of more teams. I want to see the Newcastle prices because they're usually good in terms of defense. This season so far, not really, but I'm sure that players like are cheap on the cheaper side. Newcastle. Dunban is 4.5 million. Usually starts at left back. They have a couple of injuries at centre back, so he might start at centre back. Botman is 4.5 million, so you actually have a cheaper route to Newcastle's defense. Pope is 5.5 million. Trippier is 6 million. The only problem though. The only problem is Newcastle's group. They have PSG, Dortmund, AC Milan. So I'd not be surprised if they go out. So that is kind of a killer for them as well. We have the likes of Willock is injured. Tonali, former AC Milan player, is going to cost you 6 million. Isaac 7.5 million. Wilson 7.5 million. I mean, Premier League, FPL, yes, but in the Champions League, I'm not really sure about going with Newcastle players unless you go with their goalkeeper and hope for save points. So one player maybe. I think they're still going to score, especially when those teams go to Newcastle. I still think they're going to score. But in terms of going 2-3 players, I don't think that is advisable. Obviously, I have to take a look at Arsenal as well. You've already seen Saka, Odegaard 9.5 million. Who else can we consider defensively? I think we do concede goals, so I wouldn't really advise. But if you want, the funny thing with Havertz is affording this game 7 million. I think the Champions League games is going to start a lot of them. He will start scoring. He's not going to score 30 or 40 goals or anything like that. 7 million. Martinelli 8.5 million. Trossard is 7.5 million. The problem with those players, Havertz, Trossard, Jesus, you're not really sure who's going to start every single game. But Saka and Odegaard, I think, will start most of the games. Defensively, Ramsdale is 5 million, but then again, Raya could start in goal and Ramsdale could be on the bench for the Champions League games. So in terms of Arsenal, for the players who are definitely going to start, maybe Odegaard, Saka, Rice, if you want a midfield instead of Rodri, and defensively, maybe Saliba. Man United, let's take a look at Man United. They have a tough game against Bayern Munich. I think they won away at Gata, so it's going to be hard as well. But Højlund, 7 million. I think is going to start a lot of the Champions League games. Mount is currently injured, but it's 7.5 million. Rashford, 10 million. Defensively, Wan-Bissaka 5 million. A lot of injuries at the moment for Man United defensively. So again, this is just taking a look at the prices, a long way to go before the deadline, around 15 days. So we have to wait and see. Any other team that you're really looking forward to owning their players and stuff? PSG have bought a couple of interesting players, the likes of Dembele, Ugarte as well, 5.5 million. Marquinhos is still there, 5.5 million. Donnarumma, 6 million. I mean, Marquinhos is still there, but I heard he was being linked to Saudi Arabia. I think he's still there, so I don't know if it's going to go before the end of the season, end of the transfer window in Saudi Arabia. Mbappe, 11.5 million. Ramos, 9 million. I think that's a fair price. Asensio is 8 million. So they do have several good players in there recently that just thumped Lyon, so they can definitely score goals. Barcelona have an easy group, so I think the likes of Gavi, Rafinha, all those guys you can take a look at. Atletico Madrid seem to be scoring goals. When did you last see Atletico scoring 6-7 goals? They are now doing that. So Morata scored 3 goals this season. Griezmann is scoring, and I think he has like 1 assist. So very, very interesting. This is just a first look at the prizes. Next videos, we'll take a look at the fixtures and also the first draft. And then there's going to be a lot of videos. Let me know what you think about those in prizes. Which players are you definitely going to own? Some players like Haaland, I think, are must owns. Like you can't go without Haaland. So make sure to join the league. That is the code on screen. 127 MNI6R01. Champions League is back. UCL Fantasy is back. Let me see you guys in the comments. How happy you for the Champions League being back. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.